So action cameras are one of my favorite gadgets, and over the years I've bought and sold so many of them I've kinda lost count. I'm personally a mountain biker, and anything that can help me get great footage for my rides is definitely welcome in my arsenal of cameras. So today's action camera was sent over to me by Insta360 for review, and although this was provided to me, no money has exchanged hands, and this review is based on my honest and unbiased opinion. So one of the biggest competitive advantage in my opinion about the Insta360 One RS system is its price. And with their twin version coming in at about $550 or about 2,500 Malaysia Ringgit, it's honestly a steal since you get essentially two cameras for the price of one. Where if you go with the GoPro's route of their Hero 10 and their Gopro Max, you're looking at close to $750 or about 3,400 Malaysia Ringgit. The best part about the Insta360 One RS is that you can just get it with the 4K kit that you see over here if you're not so much a fan of 360 videos at about $300 or about 1,400 Malaysia Ringgit. Still a lot more competitive than the GoPro Hero 10, so is this the right camera for you? Especially from a mountain biker's perspective. We're here to find out. So the design wise, the Insta360 One RS looks almost like the Insta360 One R version, and comparing its size with the GoPro Hero 9, it's almost the same size. But one key thing you'll notice is the larger sensor. Because the One RS 4K module comes with a larger half-inch sensor, where the GoPro, even the Hero 9 or Hero 10 still comes with a 1/2.3-inch sensor. So the GoPro has a smaller sensor size. So if you don't already know, the Insta360 One RS is a modular camera where you can swap out the lenses of the camera to essentially build a second camera from one camera module itself. So the camera comes in three different parts. You're going to get the brain, which is the center here. So you have your processor and everything inside this one module itself. You also get your power on as well as your record button here as well. You're also going to get a battery module, which you can just buy a couple of these and you get multiple batteries. And then you also get the lenses where you can swap in and out. In the case of the twin lenses, so you're going to get one 4K lens, which is the one I'm having here now, as well as one 360 lens, which you have two camera lenses on each side, so it gives you a 360-degree shot. So essentially you're going to get two cameras in one. And in order to build it up, it's really simple. All you're going to do is just press them all together. So for the 4K mod here, you can either mount it both ways. So you can either mount it like this, all you're going to do is press it together, or if you want it to have a front-facing screen for some recording purposes, you can also do it like this. And essentially you're going to get a camera with a front-facing monitor. And what you do with the battery pack is that you just click it. So you will see the contact points here, and all you're going to do is just snap it together and you're good to go. And there you go, you built yourself a modular camera. So the main module here is really simple, and at the top here you're going to get a power on off button as well as a record button, which you can also use to quick start a record. So if you just press this, it will start up. And at the back itself you're going to get a touch screen. Pretty small, and it's really hard for my fat fingers to navigate around. And at the side of it you're going to get a door. And once you pop it open, and inside you will see a Type-C charging port. You also get a micro SD card slot, which you can expand to 1 TB of storage. And below the main module, you're also going to get some battery contacts. So this is the one that you can plug your batteries in and the camera will work. So speaking of the battery life of the Insta360 One RS is lower compared to the likes of the GoPro Hero 9 or Hero 10, where 4K shots at 60 frames per second and flow state on will give you about 75 minutes of runtime, and the 360 lens is about 82 minutes of runtime. So don't get me wrong, because those are still really good battery life since you don't continuously shoot for 75 minutes straight. Just to give you some perspective, my standard local MTB trail is about 5 minutes long, and just recording the trails alone, I could go 15 rounds before the battery dies. However, the GoPro counterpart does have slightly more juice, but the battery of the GoPro, at least from my experience, does deteriorate over time, so you get less juice, and also in my case, not properly caring for my battery, they do bulge up a little bit, which is not very good. So charging the battery takes about 70 minutes, and they do charge up parallelly, and Insta360 also sells this cradle where you can just charge 2 batteries at the same time. Currently I have both of my batteries filled up, so it's pretty nice. So I think there are many videos about the specs out there, so let's just talk about the features that I really like about this camera. So the first one is that the Insta360 One RS comes with a larger half-inch sensor, where the Hero 9 or Hero 10 from GoPro only comes in at one 2.3-inch sensor. It's honestly not a huge difference, but anytime you have a little bit more help with a larger sensor, it's always a good thing. The second thing is the modular design, and if you haven't traveled with multiple cameras before, you don't know the pain, and with this you can just put the 360 mod inside your bag and it doesn't even take up too much space, and you're good to go. Essentially you have 2 different cameras. Another thing with this is the invisible selfie stick, which I do not have, or any stick that you can just place directly underneath the 360 camera. This is a cool feature, especially with mountain biking. You can get to reframe your shot and the camera will erase the stick under your camera as though you have a camera floating above your head, which is really nice. The next feature that I like is the enhanced processor inside this camera, and it makes navigating and processing of the footage very smooth. And you can also swipe around the screen and it's very fast, it's very snappy. Everything works very smoothly compared to the older version, which is not as smooth. So the app that Insta360 provides is really easy to use, and here once you connect your camera to your phone, all you got to do is easily choose your footage and you can export them. So for instance, here I can take a look at my footage, I can trim it, I can change the colors and many things more. And if you shoot in 360 video, so let's just find one 360 video that I have, and what you can do here is just reframe your shot along as you ride. So I think this is one of the cool features that you have when exporting your 360 videos from the Insta360 app. The export speed here is also extremely fast compared to what GoPro has, which honestly is one of the most frustrating thing about the GoPro. So this is solely because I fully edit my videos using my phone in the case of my mountain biking videos, so I much prefer the Insta360's app compared to the GoPro. So the next thing I want to talk about is the cage, and personally it's both a good thing and a bad thing for me. The case is honestly very nicely designed, and compared to the original 1R where you need to snap it close at the top there, this one is super easy because all you gotta do is just slide your camera in and just press it down and it locks. You don't have to fumble with any latches and anything like that. The cage is also designed with heat dissipation in mind, and this is a really critical factor because when using this camera side by side with my Hero 9, the Hero 9 gets extremely hot when filming in 4K, and the Insta360 is mostly just toasty. And honestly, what I don't like about the cage is that the fact that you have to use the cage to mount your camera, because you need this feet here in order for you to do that. And I'm already very used to the convenience of the Hero 9 and Hero 10 with the foldable legs, which frankly mine is already not very smooth because of all the mud and sweat going in, but it keeps the system weight down and I don't need to have this cage all the time. Another thing here is that the battery of the One RS is also slightly thicker than the older model, so you can still use your older batteries, but it won't fit in the cage, which is a bummer. So the next thing that you need to take note of is the screen delay of the camera. This is because I set flow state, which is Insta360's stabilization, set to high, and the screen is extremely laggy and the footage is very delayed, and you can see how slow my hand moves in front of it. This is not so much a problem for me, but for someone who looks at the screen to compose your shots a lot, this could be very distracting. The next thing that is not my favorite is the wind noise, and it's still honestly not my favorite. And although Insta360 One RS now has enhanced wind noise reduction, and Insta360 also puts a foam piece inside the case to reduce wind noise, they are still there honestly, and it's quite distracting, so you're better off using just a wind muff, just like how I use it on my Hero 9. So at low light conditions, despite the larger sensor, you can see that at certain areas you get a little bit of jitter when compared to the Hero 9 at the same location. This is key for me because now I have random jitters in my footage, which makes it not as crisp, and this is mostly in low light situations since I mostly ride in the forest and it's really very dark inside, so that's not a very good thing. So speaking of sensor size, although the 360 lens here that is marketed as 5.7K, which is correct, because it takes into account both lenses. So you have to split the 5.7K with both lenses that is shooting 360 shot. And after reframing your shot inside the app, your maximum output is only 1080p, so that's not very flexible. And another thing that I don't like about the One RS is the screen size. And honestly, comparing it to its GoPro counterpart, you can see just how much more space you have to navigate around the GoPro. But granted, this is a sacrifice you make with a modular design, so that's totally understandable. And finally, one thing that I find most limiting to me is the video settings. And inside the GoPro, there is just tons and tons of settings you can choose from to configure it so you get the best footage out of your camera. And that's just quite lacking in the One RS. So the One RS is definitely a very impressive camera, and the footage-wise can compete with no problem with other cameras such as the GoPro. Of course, in my experience, the GoPro do have some advantage over it. They honestly have their own perks, and although they are not perfect, but it just gives you that joy to reframe your shots, look for different perspective after your activity is over, and I think that is just quite an invaluable experience. So that is it for this review. If you find this video helpful, smash the thumbs up button, share this video everywhere, and if you haven't yet subscribed, do consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.